In this brainblast, I just want to wander down a little bit of a pathway that may be a little bit complicated, but I'm hoping not. I'm hoping it's something that you're interested in and really stimulated by this, because there's so much talk about it that goes on and you'd like to know a bit more. And it's about genes. So genes and you. And in fact, I wrote a little article about this a few years ago for the GAINS group, the Global Association of Interpersonal Neurobiology Studies. And so I'll include that. I'll put that as an addition here, and you can have a look at the PDF, which will go into a bit more of the detail. But genes are really important, and they're not that complicated. Well, yes, they are. but in principle, when you start to look at what they're all about, because they're the game, they're the deal, they're the ones that are the final responders to our experience. And they're the ones that translate the nature of our experience and the way in which we are experiencing our experience and turn that into matter. They turn that into proteins which become our body, which become our immune system, which become the health and state of our various organs, which become our blood supply, which become our immune system, which become our thoughts and ideas as well, because in the sense that they become the structures of the neurons. We still don't quite understand how thoughts and things really all work, but that's what it is. The genes, when they express themselves into the production of proteins, they actually make physical the response we have to our experience. Wow, pretty cool, huh? So what we want to do is we want to help out those genes to be expressing the best version of themselves that is possible. And certainly we do this through various lifestyles of exercise and activity and sleep and diet, and all these things are terribly important. But our mental attitude, our mental state, what we call mind-body medicine, is actually the mental state, the mental processes, the overall sense of what and where we are. And if we have a positive light frame of reference, and what I would call the curiosity approach frame of reference, then we are actually stimulating genetic expression that is reflective of that positive, curious, forward-moving, engaged, not distressed or overly fearful, but mindful and cautious. And it expresses that in our bodies. And we're, on the other hand, if we're disturbed and upset and worried and scared and frightened and wanting to win or afraid of losing or feeling like you're just a loser and no good and all these sorts of negative things, then your genes will reflect and produce what is necessary for a body to survive in that world. And sometimes the best body to survive in that world isn't a very healthy world. It just goes for stasis. It just goes for, let's just keep ourselves on an even keel, even if that even keel is not terribly well. Now, there's been a lot of experiments, and over the last 10 or 15 years, but particularly the last 10 years, which have been looking at what happens to our genes when we have certain experiences. And we've been looking at this, and certainly through Ernest Rossi and the Psychosocial Genomics Research Team, I've been directly involved in this work. But there are other people doing this stuff. Barbara Fredrickson has got involved with various workers when she's been looking at forms of mindfulness and mental states. We see it in areas of love. We see it in areas, it's been going on for quite some time, in the area of stress and disturbance and what we call epigenetic changes, which we may not have time for that for now. But looking at what happens when people have difficult early environments with the parent. It's done mostly with rats and rat pups. And we've learned that these sort of experiential states, the quality of your experiential state, directly affects the sorts of genes that are produced. Because fundamentally, we certainly have ideas So we're able to cognitively go, oh, this is a nice thing, or this is a happy thing, or this is a bad thing, or this is a make-believe thing, or this is... We're able to categorize these elements. The body doesn't think like that. When something is firing in the brain, when a neuron is firing, then that neuron is firing. That's the information that it bases on. Now, if that neuron is firing, saying, saber-tooth tiger, then all the systems that are required for protecting you against a saber-tooth tiger, you know, fight and flight, actually probably more sensible, and stress and the sympathetic nervous system, they all spring into action. Changes to the immune system, altering what's going on in the bowel and the bladder. All these things occur because the neurons, which say saber-tooth tiger, are firing. The trouble is, those neurons don't know the difference between a real saber-tooth tiger out there and an imagined saber-tooth tiger in our head. So this is why our inner thoughts and our inner conflicts and our inner negative thoughts that we talk about, blocks and barriers, why they work. Because when a neuron's firing, it's firing. That's all the body knows, and it responds accordingly. Equally, when it moves down the system and starts stimulating other activity, it's that other activity of the body which then the other parts of the body respond to. Now, if there's a problem, and if there's a trouble, and if there's a danger, and certainly stress is one of those things, or distress, the inability to manage. So the 30-year mortgage, the mean neighbours, the interest rates going up, the problems at work, the bullying at school, the pressure of exams, all these things that lead to a sense of I can't manage my experience sets up a system in the body which says something bad is going on, something dangerous, something is fearful. We might be coming into a fight, which means we're under threat. So this is why when we're talking about stereotype threat, these external things of who is good and who is right and who is wrong, and certainly the winner-loser world is one of our biggest stereotypical externalized threats. And the body says, oh, I'm under threat, so I might be attacked. And when we are in fear of being attacked and cautious about being attacked, our immune system gears up for having the possibility of bacteria entering our body. It could be also poison entering our body. That's the way we've evolved. We might get bitten by something. We might get slashed by something. So we have inflammatory processes occurring. And inflammatory processes are our immune system gearing up for a problem, gearing up for something that it needs to manage. So when these inflammatory processes get going, well, this goes around the body and it says, that's the indicator to other parts of the body to go, whoa, something bad's coming, we better shut down, settle down, buckle up, buckle down, knuckle down, all kinds of slow down, settle down processes. This is one of the issues with insulin resistance, for example. You have a lot of sugar going through the body. Now, the body doesn't go, oh, no, it's all right, that's a Mars bar. That's not a problem. It just says a lot of something way above the ordinary could be a poison, could be a bacteria, could be a danger. Let's shut down. And this is what happens in cells. The cells shut down and they don't take. They have a resistance to the insulin that is coming just to give them sugar because they're afraid there's too much sugar, there's too much, so they shut down. And of course when the sugar gets taken away and stored in fat cells and we put on weight, the cells then relax and go, okay, things are a bit back to normal. And they say, oh, well, we need sugar now, we're hungry. So you go out and eat another Mars bar. That's the fundamentals of why sugar becomes addictive. Very, very quick, but do you see it? System oversupplied, shuts down, supply dissipates into fat cells, system opens up, more stuff is required and we get this desire. And there's also issues in the brain with dopamine systems and other complicated stuff. So when your system is inflamed, when you have inflammatory processes going on, then the body responds as if there's going to be a danger. Now, in time past, in evolutionary history, that danger would come and go fairly quickly. we would survive or die in a fairly short space of time. Even just a few weeks. If the flood came and wiped everything out, we'd be dead within a few weeks. Or we would have managed and we'd survive. We found high ground. Now in our world, and particularly because of the winner-loser world, low-level constant stress that's out there, and the baboon tribe, Robert Sapolsky's baboon tribe, those alpha males, they just established a winner-loser world and they made it very dangerous to be there. And that long-term low-level stress, we don't know how to manage that. So that's when everything starts to fall apart and we have all these other issues going on. And those inflammatory chemicals, they go up into the brain. And in the brain says, oh my God, we might be getting sick. Is it me that's sick? And so it starts stimulating all kinds of other problems. And this is where we think some of the problems that occur with some of these autoimmune diseases, Alzheimer's, MS, and then in the body, arthritis, and so on and so forth. So what you want is anti-inflammatory processes. You want things that slow down the inflammation, that cause inflammation to actually reduce. And so it's not so much that we have a system where you get inflammatory processes and then the inflammatory processes die down. The world has to change for that. What you do is you have inflammatory processes and then you have anti-inflammatory processes occurring which then come and calm it down. So here's the most extraordinary thing. Friendliness, warmth and connection with others, loving engagement, psychotherapy, different types of therapy, certainly the mirror hands approach that I use, mindfulness, gratitude, even more so is gratitude mindfulness, meditation, yoga, walking in the forest, listening to sounds of nature. All these things, these sorts of things, and there's more of them that the experiments are working through, what they found is that the anti-inflammatory genes upregulated. And in our work, we noticed that a whole series of others with the mirror hands approach, we had stem cell genes upregulated. And other forms of gene expression which strengthen the body, add to our resilience, lift our mood into a better state. So your experience gets you down. And then you get down because you're down because the experience gets you down. And then that gets you down and you get down even more. And that is entirely logical through the nature of genes, because the genes respond to the negative sense of stuff. They produce the biology that protects them against this seeming threat. Then the threat becomes amplified because the body says, wow, this stuff is happening, so everything else starts to respond. And then we actually do start to feel not well, and we do have insulin resistance, and we do have lots of pollution, and we do have we have the winner-loser world stressing us out all the time. So the body says, well, yeah, we're right to do this stuff. So it does it more, and it does it more, and it does it more. And it literally kills us and drives us crazy. Now, there's plenty of other things that kill us and drive us crazy. So I just say, let them do their thing. I don't know what we can do about those. But there's all these other ones that we can actually alter by changing the nature of the way in which we approach the world. And so what do I suggest to you is the first point, the first opportunity, the ideal pillars to take you off into all that sort of engagement where you're able to be grateful and mindful and yogaed and all that. Curiosity. That curiosity approach. If you approach life from a curious stance, then you are going to be in the best state to be able to move forward and experience the world in a sense of what it teaches you, what is possible, the possibilities it creates. All those things that when I talked about the winner-loser world, the 8 differences, all those differences that enable us to be better biologies. And the better biology then talks to the rest of the biology and it says, things are going pretty cool, things are going pretty well, let's maximize our importance, let's maximize our value. Let's actually find not just our state of homeostasis, but a state of well-being. And in fact, as we learn in positive psychology and Marty Seligman, let's now move towards thriving. And this occurs all in response to and in an interplay relationship with our genes. We get them going, and then they get us going. So we need to get them going in the best way we can. I hope that gives you some insight into the exciting field of genes and genetics and gene expression, and a little insight into some of the possibilities. And if you look back the brain blast and the actoblasts, every one of those actoblasts, particularly the brain one and the being one, they're all designed to stimulate these positive gene expressions. I haven't made a big fuss over that because then you lose the impact. I mean, I haven't said, wow, do these things because gene expression. But I'm kind of telling you now, that's what we've been doing. Go back over them. Go back and look. If you've sort of thought, oh, well, I don't know what they're doing, that's what they're doing. And I hope that you continue to do these for many, many years to come. This is a program you can review over and over again and remind yourself, particularly the actoblasts. So for now, I'm saying bye-bye. See you next time.